Dodging a bullet. Unsure if this counts, since it wasn't at the table, but god was it a weird experience. I've been thinking about starting up an Out of the Abyss game in 5e with some new people. Around that time I got invited to a Discord server with a lot of my boyfriend's childhood friends. Since he always plays with my own friends, I thought it'd be a good idea to get them involved. Overall meeting them was going pretty nice. All seemed nice if not rambunctious. And most of them have some experience with varying editions of D&D. So great. I start asking which editions they prefer and someone shouts 5e is the best. And that is a good sign. Another person in the call starts kinda jokingly mocking that statement though. He starts saying 3.5 is better. At first I thought it was just in a friendly sarcastic way. He seemed nice enough. And maybe he just preferred 3.5. It wasn't enough for me to write him off completely. Conversation shifts for a bit to other things and 3.5. Guys leaves to go pick up his girlfriend from work. When he returns to the Discord call an hour later, it wasn't him who greeted us, but his girlfriend who shouts which one of you casuals likes 5th edition? The dude who had shouted that had already left the call a bit earlier. But, my boyfriend, me, and one other person I was interested in inviting to the game still were still in the call. Me and my boyfriend's friend go silent. IDK what it is about the word casual, but my boyfriend is a game designer and despises being considered a casual. So I can already hear the Kill Bill sirens going off in my head. I eventually say yeah we like 5e so what? The tirade begins. She begins to call us all lazy disgusting players who are ruining Dungeons and Dragons. We are the problem with D&D apparently. We are the reason nobody plays 3.5 anymore because we dared to like 5e. 5e is apparently a slap in the face to true D&D players like her and her boyfriend. My boyfriend is getting noticeably pissed. He's not someone who gets passionate about tabletop games or D&D in general, but those comments were setting him off. He asks what's wrong with 5e specifically. The issue? It doesn't have enough rule books. And I really wish I had written down what she said next, because I'm not going to do the crazy justice. She goes on this tirade about how we as a society need laws. It's how we define our lives. And without law we are nothing. And laws are the most important thing in defining a culture. Likewise, tabletops need rules. Rules equals laws. The more rules you have the happier you are, and happier your players will be. If there isn't a rule for something in a tabletop game, that is bad, because if a DM has to come up with their own rule, they are being a disservice to their players. This is my retelling of her tirade. I cannot even describe how irrational it sounded. It was the ramblings of a mad person. This is me trying to add some logic and cohesion to it, because it's incredibly hard to remember what she said exactly because it didn't make any sense. Anyway, my boyfriend tries to say more rules becomes bad at a point because of elegance in design. He brings up that he's a game designer, and she dismisses that, saying that tabletop games are different than video games. Mind you they are, but he's designed tabletop games and board games as part of getting his BFA. She refuses to listen to his experiences and insights and keeps insisting that tabletops need to have a precise rule for everything to be good. The only way we could get her to stop is when the friend of my boyfriend who was still in the call asked her if there was a rule for creating a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stand power in 3.5. She starts to say of course there is, and he demands she go find the rule for it. We all know there is not an exact rule for it. You could maybe do some fudging and homebrew to get it to work, but by raw there is no way to exactly replica a very particular power system from a really weird anime. She says she'll get back to us later and hands the headset back to her boyfriend. A little while goes by without us mentioning the fucking shitstorm that just happened. My boyfriend eventually goes, yeah sorry, that your girlfriend probably hates us now. 3.5. Guy goes, oh she doesn't hate you. She just thinks you're all lazy casuals. And she's right about it too. Welp. I know who not to invite now. Really, even if I had been planning on playing a 3.5 game, I would not want these attitudes at my table. At all. So thank God I know this about them now, so I know to never ever invite them. Ever. How my first campaign instilled a permanent hatred for railroading. I've been playing D&D 5e for about 3 years now, and I love it. I had always been interested in playing since I was a kid. but I never had the opportunity to learn to play until my first semester of college. The gaming club, both video games and board games alike, had a DM who was looking to teach noobs and start a campaign for the semester at the club meetings. I, along with the 8 other new players, were broken down the rules as simply as possible and were handed out pre-generated characters. I was quite happy with my drunken pirate storm sorcerer, as it forced me to learn the complexities of magic and play more socially. This DM was really good. He did improv comedy, so he could do voices and banter really well, on top of knowing the rules like the back of his hand. However, after the first session, good DM realized that he couldn't regularly meet because he had other responsibilities. One of the few veteran players, the dramatic bard, stepped up and said that he would DM for the massive group of 11, a problem in and of itself. This was the beginning of several frustrations. First thing that happened the next session was that the wondrous and noble bard was received into the heavens for being so awesome, while at the same time, a solar came down and said that he wanted us to find a powerful sword of righteousness that would allow him to cleave all evil from the world. The solar offered no help or reward for doing so. So my pirate asked the obvious question, what if we don't want to? The solar flat out said, then I'll kill you, which immediately annoyed me and most of the table. But we sighed and pressed on. For several sessions it went on like this. Divine message received. Cultists doing stuff. Stop cultists from doing stuff. Almost die in the process. No reward. Repeat. Anytime we wanted to deviate, the solar would threaten to kill us and use our ashes to fertilize the tree of righteousness. This DM would also be really petty too, punishing players over minor squabbles and annoyances. Once my near-dead pirate started cheering and mocking the corpse of the chain devil that he had just killed, only to have said corpse said explode and instantly knock only him out. It was an exercise of humility, as he called it. This had gotten bad enough that when we had to fight a succubus as a boss, we just collectively said no and accepted our pleasurable deaths. The DM succubus then had to offer wealth and magic items if we managed to slay her, just to get us into combat, which we agreed to and did eventually. All of it was cursed. Then one glorious session, good DM returned and took half of the massive group to play a session. A pit fiend appeared alongside the solar this time and tried to persuade us to leave the side of angels to his own cause. My pirate didn't need much convincing. My group was tasked with infiltrating a military camp on the mountain and killing a paladin general. By the time that we had gotten to him, 2 of the 4 of us decided to betray the pit fiend and warn the paladin and solar. My pirate was sick of anything holy, so he and a fighter went in for the kill, but were stopped by the other party members and killed us. At least that's what I thought, until good DM said that my character had survived thanks to the pit fiend's blessing and was now an active antagonist in the story. It was back to bad DM after that, but I didn't care. My new monk, which quickly became my favorite class, was eventually going to fight an old character of mine. For weeks I was thinking of the epic duel in my head. That showdown happened at the last session of the semester. We were all at 9th level and ready to kick butt. We were single-handedly attacking a small fortress, where on the wall slinging spells was my now evil sorcerer. We ran towards the wall, with all of the party struggling against the spell saves except my monk. By the time we had gotten to the base of the wall, most of the party was at half health. The sorcerer mocked us and said that the only way we could possibly reach him was to go through the long, empty hall in front of us with stairs at the end. Screw that. I say that my monk starts climbing the wall, with the DM laughing, saying how I only have half movement when climbing and that I'll just be blown off with his next spell. I then smugly informed the DM that he must have neglected to look into monk features, because exactly at 9th level, I could flat out run up walls. The DM's smile vanishes as my monk sprints up the wall and begins flurry of blows on the sorcerer. His axe still sucked, and my monk had maximum doubt dex, so the sorcerer had taken a ton of damage before I punched him off the wall down in the center of the party. The party all smiles at one another as they prepare their curb stomps on this prone sorcerer. To curb stomps in, DM goes nope, and has the sorcerer teleport back on the wall and recover all of his hit points. Just when I think that this couldn't get any worse, the pit fiend shows up to back up the sorcerer. So while I'm trying not to die to this own-sided fight on top of the wall, The rest of the party has to go through this 100-foot long hallway where, I kid you not, every 10 feet triggered a 10d6 damage trap, no matter how careful they were. RDM then looked around and saw that the club was wrapping up. He then said that the solar appears from the heavens and slays the pit fiend and sorcerer with the special sword he got from us. He then immediately uses the sword's ultimate power, which instantly kills everyone in the entire world who isn't lawful good, which was all of our party and most of the world. DM said that he had fun and leaves. Ever since that campaign, I have despised railroading. I don't even care for most modules because of how they handle pointing characters towards doing things. I mostly DM for my friends now, and I make sure that my campaigns are as sandboxy as possible so that everything feels free and organic for everyone.